Welcome to Arpit. I am Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee from IIT Delhi, and I'll cover knowledge management with special reference to libraries. Traditionally, there are three factors of economic growth, namely land, people, and money. Knowledge has become the fourth factor. Knowledge is one of the most powerful resources today. It is the driving force and the prime source of competitive advantage. Library is a place where creative minds converge, interact with each other, and construct visions of new realities through an articulation of knowledge. Academic institutions often suffer permanent loss of valuable experts' knowledge when they leave the organization. The practical way to avoid collective loss of institutional memory or organization memory is to identify the expertise of the individuals, their knowledge and skills, and finally capture it. Knowledge management is a subject which deals with management of knowledge for creating, organizing, sharing, and disseminating of knowledge. From an institutional point of view, knowledge management helps in converting personal knowledge into organization knowledge, which can be extensively shared throughout an organization and appropriately applied for gaining the competitive advantage. Knowledge management is the process that helps to transfer important information and expertise that is a part of organizational memory that typically resides within the organization in an unstructured manner. Unstructured means not codified manner, not in a recordable manner which can be recorded in a database. Most of the knowledge created and disseminated by academia is explicit or in codified form, that is procedure, documented and disseminated in the form of research papers, research dissertations, textbooks, and absorption of those things. It has limited practical utility to the students and community and industry practitioner. Here knowledge management plays a significant role in collecting such information, analyzing them, and generate meaningful knowledge out of it and share them for future refinement. Interestingly, the information available in most of the libraries are quite large, and we can capture a significantly less of it, and at the time of real uses the contribution is minimum. I can give an example. Say from the academic point of view, if you see the syllabus of an university is huge, it is like a sea. How much you can study out of the syllabus? It is significantly low, it almost looks like a river kind of things. When we remember it, when we keep it with ourselves, we can retain it with us is only a size of a bucket. In the examination hall, the amount of information which we can present is like a cup of a tea, and if you see the marks obtained is also, it goes in a minimum way. So this example is something like that. When you talk about the knowledge, the ample knowledge is available, ample information is available, but what we can capture, what we can retain in our system, what we can develop in our systems is substantially low. So our objective in knowledge management is to convert those knowledges which is available and then codify it in such a format and record it and keep it for the future uses. Maximizing the codified knowledge is our major objective in knowledge management. How to do it, we will see to it. Creation of knowledge are made explicit through its publications. There has been tremendous growth in research publications in this decade. Total number of publications have grown from 13 lakhs in the year 2000 to 32 lakhs in the year 2018. The growth is nearly 3 times. As a library professional, one has to study citation, H-index of researchers, and the institute impact factor of various journals, research collaborations, both domestic and international, country-wise research publications, subject-wise research growth, etc. Hence, the expectation from knowledge worker is very high. Here, knowledge management helps them significantly. Knowledge management can attempt to get signal from the sea of knowledge, generate impactful tune from it. If you see the overall growth of the research publications, this slide is telling you exactly the growth of research papers. We will talk about little bit about knowledge preamble. The basic objective of knowledge management is to ensure that the right information is delivered to the right person at the right time for decision making. Knowledge management utilizes educational technology, tools and enhancement of teaching learning processes. Knowledge management is the process through which organization generates value from the intellectual property and knowledge-based assets. Knowledge is an asset which increases the value or its potential when it's shared. The knowledge sharing helps in avoiding reinventing research, reducing redundant work, shrinking of cost of inventions, and accelerate the creation of knowledge with the help of experts and experienced persons. Knowledge sharing significantly enhances group interactions, problem solving, which benefits the organization. Individual knowledge owner can contribute less significantly when a person individually can contribute less. So, if you see those knowledge blocks, when people are combined, when they interact with each other, they contribute more meaningfully, more impactful research can come out of it than the individual contributing towards the same. Now, let us talk about the knowledge pyramid. It has 4 layers, starting from the data in the lowest level. The data is an abundant, then the next level is the information, followed by knowledge, and then the wisdom. So, this triangle, it has been done in such a way based on the availability of information. At the lowest level, the maximum information is available. When you go to the highest level, that is in the wisdom level, the information is minimum. So, what is data? When I am going to the first level, data is the first component in the pyramid that are in abundance, and they are raw in nature and individually is not meaningful. The information which I am talking about, it is about understanding the relations from the existing data. It is meaningful, but there is a warning that too much of information is also counterproductive. We need to refine them. How to do it? We will discuss. The refinement can come through creation of knowledge, which is a product of data and information. It is about understanding of the pattern, the relation of the relations. It is the challenge to generate knowledge out of the existing information. Finally, wisdom, that is the top level. It is more of an understanding of principles. There are 2 types of knowledges. One is the tacit knowledge, one is the explicit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is different to articulate, and it is often characterized by personal skills, mental models, and know-how that are deeply rooted inside the individual. Explicit knowledge are the translated form of tacit knowledge, which one can easily understand. Our major challenge is to convert huge tacit knowledge into the explicit form. So, if you see this particular slide that talks about the knowledge hierarchy, let us take an example of data. Say, supposing I say 5% and 100, and then what do you mean out of it? If I come to the information, if I say, if I invest 100 rupees in a bank and the bank offers me 5% interest, then it becomes an information. When it comes to the knowledge level, I can say on completion of 1 year, I will be earning 105 rupees on the basis of my initial investment of 100 rupees in the bank. So, that becomes a knowledge. When it comes to the wisdom level, we can say the time value of money. That means, if you keep the money with you, the value will remain the same. But if you keep the money in bank or some other institutions, the value will increase. So, in that way, the data to information to knowledge to wisdom, we can go to the higher up and we can get a meaningful information out of it. Interestingly, if you see the top part of it, I have shown the photograph of an iceberg. Only a limited part is basically viewable. Rest part is inside the sea. So, here is our challenge to convert, take most of the information that is which is inside the sea. So, that is our tacit information, tacit knowledge. So, we need to take this tacit information out of it, which becomes visible and people can use it. So, that is the major objective, major challenge. The tacit knowledge here comes the top 2 components, that is the knowledge and wisdom, and the explicit component, which is already written in some form, is the data and information. So, when you talk about the explicit, it is coded in manuals, procedures and rules, formulas, flowcharts, etc. These are the explicit knowledge. When you talk about the tacit knowledge, I repeat once again, it is the people's knowledge and it is manifestation through actions, and it is deeply rooted in individuals' experience, values, ideas. It lies in the active memory of individuals or a group. Now, we will discuss little bit about the knowledge creation process. Institutions' overall performance depends upon the extent to which academic administrators can mobilize all knowledge resources held by the individuals, groups thereby converting these resources into value creation activities. Value creation can take place through creation of new knowledge. Nonaka and Taguchi explained 4 patterns of interaction involving tacit and explicit knowledge in their study about dynamic aspects of organization knowledge creation process. Institutes play a critical role in mobilizing tacit knowledge held by the individuals and provide them in the forum of spiral knowledge creation called SECI model. The SECI model illustrates that tacit knowledge is converted into explicit knowledge and vice versa through 4 sequential steps, namely socialization, that is tacit to tacit, externalization, that is tacit to explicit, combination, that is explicit to explicit, and internalization, that is explicit to tacit. All 4 conversion modes interact dynamic and continuous entanglement to drive the knowledge creation process. Role of individual is an essential actor in creating new knowledge. So, if you see this particular chart, I reiterate once again, it is a conversion of tacit knowledge into an explicit knowledge in SEIC model, which has been detailed by Nanoka and Taguchi in their book called Knowledge Creating Company in the year 1995. The first is tacit to tacit. This process is called the socialization. When normally in an office we interact with each other, we discuss with our knowledge persons, we come up with some solutions, we discuss about defined problems. So, when we discuss in a committee rooms, when we discuss in a meeting, when we discuss even outside the office is called socialization. This is the way how a knowledge worker can gain knowledge from another knowledgeable person. So, through the socialization, which transmits the tacit knowledge into its tacit knowledge. That means from one individual to another individual. But the major challenges is basically how to convert this tacit knowledge into an explicit knowledge. The process is called externalization, that is the second stage. We are converting this tacit knowledge into an explicit format. So, here what we do is basically whatever we have learned through socialization, let us write it down in a particular piece of paper in terms of minutes, in terms of our emails, in terms of our notebooks. So, in that way we create documents after documents. So, that is the process of externalization. That means whatever is the tacit knowledge available in the mind of the individuals, we are converting them into an explicit format, that is called the externalization. But the moment we create huge documents, but who is going to read it? Unless we refine it, unless we make those informations more meaningful, unless we make those informations more powerful. This process is called the combination, where it is a form of conversion from explicit to explicit. That means someone has already documented it, but my job is to read those documents and make a more meaningful, more powerful information out of it. That is a movement towards creation of wisdom. This combination is a combining the knowledge and then create a systematic knowledge which is more powerful. That is the major objective of combination. If you see a movie, this movie is basically made out of some novels. When you see a movie, it is a movie of 2 hours duration, but we can get a better value out of it. If you read a novel, it will take 7 or 8 days time, but if you see a movie, it will be only 1 or 2 hours time. So, this is an example of conversion of an explicit to another explicit format. So, what you can do in our offices, we can index it. Supposing a particular book, so book has got the indexes, books has got the references. So, the people need not have to go to each and every pages, they can go to the right page and read it out exactly what they are looking for. So, this is called the combination, basically making the information more powerful, more impactful. So, once we have done the socialization to externalization, externalization to combination, and now the last stage is called the internalization. So, once you have made the information useful to us, when you have made the information is very easy, so it is very easy for a person to understand. So, internalization is a process for conversion of explicit knowledge into a tacit form once again. It is something like that, someone has done a good work, I will just simply go to the portal, see the information, I will go to that particular part of the tree where I am seeking some information, go there, seek the information, and you are satisfied. So, this is the part in internalization. So, socialization, discussion, externalization, recording it. So, when you record it, you will have a huge documents created, but it is easier to understand it provided someone works on those created documents, make a metadata out of it, and then you internalize it. And this is the SEIC model through which one organization can learn, and this is the process followed in most of the modern organization and in libraries to create knowledge. Now, in any academic institutions or in organizations, how the knowledge is created? This knowledge is created in terms of brainstorming conferences, creation of knowledge through the symposiums, case writing, workshops. This is the way how we can create it. So, it is kind of a socialization where people interact with each other. So, when you go for the conferences, we interact, we learn something from the other knowledgeable person. And now, the creation of knowledge, that is called externalization. How it is possible in any organization forms? It is basically you can create a database of ongoing research projects, you can create an outcome of defined research projects, you can create the minutes of those committees, and you can create an FAQs. The third one is the combination. How do you combine it? There are many procedures over there. We can create a knowledge portal where most of the informations are available in the dashboard format, databases of the thesis, not only for the PhD thesis, the thesis can be of a BTech students or MTech students, or even the information about a particular project, and then indexing it so that anyone is searching for the information can simply go to the particular document and extract it, and then changing of the defined forms. In the multiple documents are available, we can have the defined hierarchy, and then we can create some rule books. So, this is called the combination as far as the defined organization's point of view is concerned. And last is internalize. How we do the internalization? We have created the knowledge, knowledge is available, how to disseminate, how the people will learn it, how people learn it through the on-job training. We can give the on-job training, you can implementation projects where the newcomers will come up and the senior people will tell them how they have learned in their old projects and whatever the knowledge they have gained from the old projects, and that is delivered. So, this is the process how the knowledge creation is done in most of the academic organizations. This slide, I am just going to tell you the three major components of knowledge. The components are people, technology, and processes. And this percentage 70%, 10% and 20%, that tells you about the effort required in an organization. Mind it, most of the informations are available in the tacit form in the mind of the people. The maximum challenge is in terms of extracting the knowledge from the human brain. So, how to do it? There are different processes. So, what I am trying to say here, maximum time is spent in knowledge creation, then the technology that supports us, and unless there is a process in place, we cannot generate good knowledge out of it. So, overall learning for the organization is based on the amalgamation of these three things, that is the people, technology and processes. In an organization, the most important and painful part is the knowledge loss. We need to reduce the knowledge loss. In any organization, what we do is basically we try to identify the key resource person, we try to make socialization through their interference, their involvement with defined forums, and we try to see how much knowledge we can gain from them. And then we try to see that things are documented, because the non-documentation of the information, we lose a huge information, huge knowledge, and sometimes we are not ignorant that we know that knowledge worker is there, and we are not creating a process of knowledge sharing. Through this ignorance, we lose a huge knowledge, and obviously this happens when there is a poor organizational culture exists. So, the most important part in any organization is basically creating a knowledge sharing ambience, where the knowledge workers, when the knowledgeable person discuss with the newcomers and they transmit the knowledge. Keeping the knowledge with one individual is a big loss for the organization. Unless it is shared, the organization cannot get any benefit out of it. So, knowledge loss is an area where most of the researches are going on, and I am sure this is the job of the library professionals to ensure, or the information analyst to ensure the knowledge is retained within the organization. Now, I will give you a simple example, very primitive technology, what we used to do it during our computer programming. I am talking about artificial intelligence programming, who used to do it using the Prolog programming. So, the knowledge can be captured in a system through an object oriented programming. Earlier we have got a structural programming, then we have got the object oriented programming, then hierarchical model of database that is popularly used for management of such kind of data, where each and every object can store data and the processes to interact with another object. I will give an example in our next slide. In the object oriented programming, a frame hierarchy based structure is created, where the defined hierarchy of the frames can be created from the base or root frame. And then once the hierarchy is made, then you can make a query to extract the information out of it. So if you see this particular example, this is an university structure. On the left hand side, we have just talked about the defined department. Department consists of defined faculties, and faculty consists of defined individuals. On the right hand side, we are talking about the defined hostels. Hostels is based on the individuals. So how we frame it? We frame it, if you see the first part, we are talking about the frame name. This frame name, it connects with the parent and the child. The topmost phase is the university, and then the left hand side there are multiple childs, and then the right hand side again there are childs. So what happened? Each node can interact with each other in a hierarchical format, and this type of data can be captured in the frame structure in a Prolog. If I see that Prolog programming, we can see the defined frames. We have given the frame names. We talk about the relationship with the next frame, and we try to capture the data. And this is the way how is to create the data. Nowadays it is done in the defined format, but I am trying to say how the knowledge can be created using a programming language. Now we will talk about KM strategies. One is, the most important part is the reward. Those who are the knowledge workers who are sharing the knowledge, please reward them, and publish the cross project learning, periodic reviews of action taken. Just make sure that socialization takes place in the organization, make sure that we externalize the knowledge, we record it, make sure that we create a hierarchy of the knowledge in the organization, and we keep on reviewing it. Knowledge mapping, knowledge repositories within the organization which can be accessible by all. So we create a knowledge map. At the same time, we find out the expert directories. We need to create masters in the organization who are the experts in the particular subject. Then we transfer the best practices to the new group, and we share those best practices to the others so that they do not have to reinvent the wheel. And then the knowledge brokers, we identify some organization's member who can take care of the particular field of information. So whenever there is a query, who is the owner of those knowledge, so we can share, we can ask the person, meet the gentleman, he will give you the information about his wing, so that we simply move a newcomer to the new broker who can disseminate the information. So when you talk about knowledge management in the library science perspective, it is our best job, or the most important job is to identify the best fit journals, information or the papers can be published. We conduct scientific literature review and also help manually creating, maintaining and sharing reference list. We discover most impactful research and emerging research trend. We uncover the potential collaborators. We identify the hidden trends and the pattern of research publications, integrate with thousands of world's scholarly journal, and the most important part in our activity is translate knowledge into socio-economic opportunity. If any organization which is basically knowledgeable organization, we must have some mission to create an opportunity for the society. I will give an example of a future conversation how the library science is going to help us in creation of a knowledge through a hypothetical conversation. So one gentleman is asking for, he is an R&D scientist of an organization. He is asking, how can I improve my research institutional research ranking or publication ranking, how to do it. He is asking this information to the particular system, and portal now asks you, can I have your institution's affiliation ID, because that is a key through which he will dig up the information from multiple sources, multiple databases, and he will give you the meaningful result. So it takes the information from different networks of e-resources, and he suggests that with your H-index graph, which is moderate, and please go for collaborative research. Don't do the research only with yourself, try to see who are the other collaborators. Now the person says whom to collaborate with, please suggest me. So this artificial intelligence based solution, they ask you, with your expertise, the area where you are working, you can collaborate with this universities. Now he says, can you please suggest me what are the emerging trends where I can ask my researchers to contribute, researchers to go for more research. So as a librarian, we should be having this type of kind of support. So the database once again searches the data, and then it comes up that with your institutional expertise, you can concentrate in the molecular biology, genetics and material sciences, because based on the expertise you are having, the artificial intelligence based database that has searched, and they say this is the area where he can contribute. Now his question is basically, researchers, now I would like to know which are the organization who can really fund my research. So he tells you these are the organizations who can offer you the funding from. Can you suggest some names where we can collect this information for our literature review? Again, this particular artificial intelligence based portal, they suggest these are the databases which can help you in generating the data or give you solution for literature review. Now his next question is, again he is asking, I know which are the journals where I can publish my research very fast. So he answers this particular query. And now last question he is raised is that can you please tell me in my organization which are the bodies are doing exceedingly well based on the publication, so that I can contribute, I can allocate additional resource to. Now again the AI based system gives you the solution. These are the departments in the organization are doing extremely well, and this is the way how in future a library professional has to provide, or a data analyst has to provide the information to the community. So we are gearing up for this. The days are not quite far off, but the systems are going to come up the way we are integrating, the way we are collaborating, the way the IT is coming up in our place. So it finally says, work with the agencies to boost international perception of your institution, so that highly cited researchers, lab, departments of ... So finally, we have seen that a hypothetical based conversation. Now how the organizations can do academic excellence. So we need to create a knowledge creation process. The process is very important. Once we have the knowledge creation process, that can create a knowledge base, and if you have a good knowledge base, that can lead towards institutional excellences. And if you can see that knowledge management as a subject, there has been a tremendous impact in last 18 years. It has grown up like anything. Most of the contributions has come from the countries of US, China, UK, Germany, Japan, France, and also other countries like Canada, Italy, Australia and India. So the subject, as far as the KM is concerned, it is going up, the number of publications are going up, that means the knowledge are created, and we are sure that the KM is going to play a very significant role for the overall development of an academic and an organization. So thank you very much, and if you have some queries, I'll be very happy to answer them. Thank you very much.